When starting development, make partial progress and assess how well your team performed and the issues that came up. It is better to make progress in iterations rather than make a large effort that ends up failing due to numerous issues. Be wary that your developers and other team members may recommend performing a large effort for a variety of reasons that suit them. Be firm and insist on an iterative approach. If they still resist, change them. Do not get tempted by complex process methodologies and fancy tools. Keep things simple in the beginning and expand to more complex processes and tools as your development progresses. Hi everyone, this is Vivek Shrivastava. Welcome to my channel. Today I have for you a lessons learned video where I will speak about making progress, evaluating the progress made, including the cost, the schedule, and your team members' performance, and then making course corrections as needed. You do not want to make a large effort only to find that a lot of mistakes have been made and most everything has to be redone and reworked. The trick is to make progress in iterations and evaluate the progress that has been made and make course corrections as needed with each iteration. I myself made this mistake during my startup development and carried on with inappropriate third-party developers for too long. Do not make this mistake and evaluate the progress being made frequently, and disengage yourself from incompetent and dishonest people or third parties as quickly as possible. If you have been following my sequence of videos, you will have made a prototype of your product and have selected the technologies to be used. You can now start your development in earnest, but do not adopt a build everything in one go approach. Break up your development effort into sections and build a section or two, and then evaluate if the development went according to plan. Did it go over budget? Did it take too much time? How many unexpected errors came up? How was everyone's performance? For those of you engaged in a software-centric startup and are not aware of Agile, let me explain the concept of Agile development. Agile basically consists of breaking down the functionality of your website or app into user stories, which are the smallest functionalities that the end user experiences. These stories are then developed and tested and reworked until they are considered complete. Stories are then developed in this fashion until whole sections and then the final product is completed. The advantage of this is that the results of each bit of functionality is seen early on as an end product. Any problems, issues, and changes required can be seen and made early. While Agile is touted as the best software process methodology for startups, the drawbacks to it are that you and your team have to learn and understand it. You will also have to acquire and get familiar with tools like Atlassian's Jira to use it practically. This approach may not be necessary for you at the initial stage of development that you are at. You may just want to build and test section by section and keep it simple. You can always switch to more complex methodologies in the future at any point. On a similar note, the same advice applies to tools, namely the use of simple tools initially. Instead of spending large amounts of money on complex and often expensive tools, use simple open source tools. I personally am a big fan of the Microsoft Office suite of tools like Word and Excel. For my own startup, a lot of documentation and information sharing was performed using Word and Excel. Complex, expensive tools not only cost a lot, they require all users in your team to get familiar with them as well. And what I have experienced during my career is that many team members will simply not use them if they are not open to getting familiar with these tools and dealing with the complexity involved. On the other hand, the disadvantage of simple tools like Word and Excel is that they will require discipline in following up, as there is no inherent tracking inbuilt into them like some of the other fancier tools. So if you send someone an Excel sheet that has a list of tasks listed for them to perform, both you and the person you sent it to will have to track the completion of the tasks in the sheet manually, as it will be not automatically tracked for either you or them. Decide which way you want to go with tools, but I would suggest keeping it simple initially and evaluate how the simple approach works for you. You can always change your mind and get the expensive and complex tools anytime. For those of you who are involved in a non-software centric startup, the basic principles are the same. Making incremental progress may not be easy or even possible, as you have to have the whole thing set up to even get something produced. In a restaurant, a lot of expense will have to be undertaken to get the location, the cooking equipment, ovens, etc. before even one dish can be made, but to try to break it down and make incremental progress if possible. Perhaps you can focus on only one dish and make that with minimal expenditure. This will have to be managed on a case-by-case basis, but the important underlying technique of incremental progress and evaluation holds true for non-software startups as well. A suggestion I have is to develop the login section of your app or website first. Even if your startup is non-software centric, you will probably have a login section of a website that will require registration, login, forgot password, remember me, and register as a new user functionalities. Engage your team to develop these login and registration functionalities with each team member assigned to their particular role. Do not let one team member take over multiple roles just because this is a small task. Keep everyone in their roles and disciplined and see how they gel together. Observe how efficiently this task moves forward. Who performs well and who does not? What problems do you run into? Did this mini project get finished successfully? Did it go over time? Did it go over budget? More than likely, even for a small mini project like this, you ran into many problems. One or more team members may not have performed up to par. There may have been technical issues of various types. Perhaps the choice of technology is wrong. Perhaps there are hardware issues. The good thing about this situation is that you did not invest a lot of time or money and obtained a good understanding of what is right and wrong with your development team and setup. Imagine investing a lot of money, going all in, and then realizing that many things are not right and have to be redone, and it's going to cost you a lot of time and money. That would be a far worse situation to be in. By doing this test run, you will uncover a lot of problems with just a small investment and a small amount of risk. Now you must solve the problems that were revealed during this trial run. Incompetent staff members must be replaced. Incompetent third parties that you outsource the work to must be replaced as well. Technology changes must be made as needed. You will have to make the required course corrections as per the problems and issues that you ran into. You should make all the necessary corrections and then continue and complete the login section development. Once you have completed this iteration, you will have corrected numerous problems and will be able to move forward with more efficiency and confidence. However, you may still run into new problems and issues. Therefore, you should continue developing in an iterative fashion and keep fixing problems revealed in each iteration instead of trying to perform the development in one go that results in a product that is useless and has to be reworked. This could be overwhelming and could potentially even completely end your startup dreams. An agile development process would be best for startups in my opinion, as it aligns with the iterative approach that I spoke about. I will make a video in the future where I speak about various process methodologies, but my advice is to keep things simple. In my startup, a senior team member was a big believer in Agile, and I suspect that is all he knew. And instead of using the best tool and setting things up in a complex manner and so on. However, for all his planning for Agile, the development was not being performed properly. Finally, I intervened and simplified everything and got the most important thing on track, which was progress being made in the development of the app. So do not get too lost in the processes, methodologies, and tools themselves. Do not spend a lot of money on expensive tools that you don't really need at this stage, and take advantage of free tools that are available without any licensing fees. Do not spend a lot of time setting up the tool with fancy and unnecessary features like automations and notifications and so on. Set up your tool to perform basic functions that you need now and add fancy features later when you actually need them. So to reiterate, an iterative and simple approach is the best approach in the beginning for any startup. And this is true for non-software centric startups as well. Whatever your startup is, make some progress, evaluate what was done, and make course corrections as required. Do not try to perform a large quantity of work in one go. Your team members and third parties may argue against it and give you all manner of excuses and reasons to not follow an iterative approach. Do not be swayed by them, as they may have their own agenda. A third party that cheated me insisted on doing the work in a large effort rather than an iterative fashion. And it turned out that this was part of their plan to cheat me. An iterative approach is crucial when you're trying to people and third parties out for the first time and do not really know or trust them. So that's all I have for progressing partially and assessing. In this video, I wanted to highlight the significance of an iterative approach for your startup. I hope you found the content useful. Please comment below and provide your feedback. See you all next time. Take care and good luck, everyone.